We just have to find the means.
Am I cheering? Alright. Am I cheering?
It is up to you. There's a repercussion for every single thing that you do.
Am I cheering? Alright.
What goes around comes around.
Am I
Little drops make a notion. Every single
Good morning.
move that we take affects our nation. So make we dey try our machine. Little drops make a notion. Every single step that we take, the move that we make affects our nation. So make we dey try our machine. Ẹ̀yin ọkùnrin márùn-ún, ẹ kóra yín pọ̀, ẹ wá fi tipátipá bá obìnrin kan lò pọ̀. Ẹranko ní ẹ̀dẹ̀ ní àrùn ọpọlọ.
Am I cheering? Alright.
Odidi ìlú kan kó ara wọn jọ. Wọ́n sun ọmọ ilé ìwé gíga mẹ́rin níná. Lọ́sàn-án gangan láìsí ìbẹ̀rù kankan.
Am I cheering?
Ìwọ ọmọ bí ọ̀tà, ó sọ sí gọ́tà. Àgbàrá dé o wá ń pariwo Fáṣọlá. Ta ló fàgbàrá bí ìbá ṣe ìwọ àpá?
Am I cheering?
Ọmọ ọmọdé ṣe jáàmù tó wá sí òkè.
You're listening to Gaze Baba. Good morning. How are you today? Sorry, a little bit of technical problem, network, but we're live. Grateful to God. Affects our nation. Shane Conry, little drop, make an ocean. Affects our nation. Okay. Good morning, everyone. How are you today? My name is Praise Forward, and welcome to PFthinks, episode 97. I'm so excited to have come your way again today. Today's so special for me, and I want to say thank you, everyone, for waiting and keeping up with me. Somehow, internet glitches here and there, but we're live, and we're gonna do this together. Now we are ending today's the series on the science of parenting, a whizkid. We're ending it today with how to release your child, and tomorrow we're gonna be starting a series. If you guys decide that I take on another issue, I'm gonna follow your leading. But what I have in mind to start tomorrow is how to co-parent, especially for single parents and for those of you who are divorced, those of you who are separated. How do you co-parent? Intentional co-parenting. That's what I intend to start tomorrow. But if you guys want me to take on something else, please kindly hit my comment button and let me know, so that I can adjust any aspect of family life or life generally that you want me to address. Kindly let me know. So today, the science of parenting, a whizkid, how to release your child. Now, we have taken on so many aspects of parenting a whizkid in the last 15 days. And one of the things that has come out consistently in all our discussion is the fact that the most critical part of parenting is the handler, which is you. That the future of your child is literally in your hand and can be terminated in your hand if you do not master the science of parenting. That if you approach parenting from the standpoint of assumption, that you assume, I gave birth to him, I carried him in my womb, I carried her in my womb, I paid school fees. If you approach parenting from that standpoint, you are going to damage a child. I have done all kinds of intensive study. Yesterday it was talked about. They talked about Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is the richest man in the world. He made $13 billion in one single day in the last 24 hours or 48 hours thereabout. Now, I realized that Jeff Bezos was actually, if he had remained with his father, He may never have become Jeff Bezos. His mother had to leave his father, then married someone else. The man adopted him, and it was the man who sponsored his education. Very exposed man, showed him a whole lot of things, and that's why we have Jeff Bezos, right? The new father gave him leverage. So the sperm donor may never produce a Jeff Bezos, right? It took someone else who took responsibilities for him. So sperm donor or the surrogate, in whose womb the child was incubated, may not necessarily be the parent. That conception and donation of semen is not enough for you to be a parent. You need to intentionally study, understand the concept of parenting. If you don't understand it, you're going to damage your child. And that's what a lot of our parents did to us. And that's what many of us are doing to our children. Now, so you need to understand that when we say get materials, inform your mind, open up your heart, it's not because we want to advertise products or something like that. No, it's because I am pained consistently seeing the damage we do to children, especially in Africa. I'm pained seeing that what we're capable of becoming, that we are never going to become, simply because the handlers in our lives do not understand what it means to handle us. If you look at the guy who made Apple, what's his name again? Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs also was given up for adoption by his mother, right? So we need to understand that as parents, the greatest joy of every parent must be seeing a child becoming the best version of himself, not a clone of you, right? Your greatest joy is not when your child joins your faith. That is good. Because we make statements like the greatest thing you can hand to your child is your faith. What if your faith is wrong? What if your understanding of God is perverted? What if your understanding of God is closed-minded? Right? So you're going to hand that to your child, and you're going to clap that your child is an usher when your child should find a cure to coronavirus. When your child is a solution to cancer, it's never going to find expression in sciences because your religion forbids science, right? And you're going to get excited that I've handed my faith over to my child. Of what essence is your faith when your faith cannot change the world? Jesus came, he changed the world. Jesus affected humanity. You're raising a child who is practicing sectarianism, who is close-minded, and who has built walls around humanity, and it cannot produce anything that can affect the whole of humanity. So your greatest joy must be seeing a child becoming the best version of himself and not a clone of his parents, while serving his gift to his world in service to God and humanity, which means it's a trade-off between stewardship and ownership. A lot of us simply forget that we are stewards, we're not owners. We try to be owners because of our investment, right? You are a caretaker, right? So you do not own the child. God owns the child. That's the seed owner, right? You are the seed handler. You are not the owner. A lot of us do not understand this. So we seek to own a child, and that is why we raise a child not to become himself. We raise a child to become a retirement plan. That many of us are not willing to let a child go. That's why you see 25-year-olds who still depend on their parents. You see 30-year-olds who still depend on their parents. That's why you see some mothers moving into their son's house, and they begin to cause trouble there. And they say to the wife, I am the first wife, you are the second. They just create all kinds of crises in the name of emotion. Parenting is a science. It's not emotion, right? And that's why, the moment science becomes emotional, is going to affect the final output. That you can truncate the plan of God by your emotion if you are not science-driven in your parenting. Left to Mary, Jesus may never have died, right? Because it's the pain of a mother, right? But she learned to let go of him, to serve the cause of humanity and to serve the cause of God. A lot of us, by ourselves, because we do not understand service unto God. Now, Mukesh Ambani, the greatest man, richest man in India, he said that they asked him one day, they said, how come everything you produce in your organization is top notch? And he answered the question. He answered the question by saying that the only question we ask when we produce anything in this organization is we lift it up to God and we ask, can God take this as a worship unto him? If God will not accept it, we will not offer it to the customer, which means no margin of error. This guy is not Christian, is not Muslim, is a Buddhist, right? So it says work for us is worship. Worship for someone else, a slow song. Worship to him is his work. So you can see it in the way he delivers, in his products and services. So we need to open our mind and understand that the fish is your child is the shark, you are the aquarium. Your child cannot outgrow the aquarium. So if you are close-minded as a parent, you're going to damage your child without knowing. You will think that, oh, you are serving the cause of humanity, you are serving the cause of God. So you have a child who is a scientist, you are going to divert him from science and divert him to religion. He's going to be able to play drums, going to be able to sing to God, going to be able to dance, or going to be able to recite the Quran, but he will never be able to serve the cause for which he was born, simply because you have taken him off the radar of science because you don't believe that science is godliness. A lot of people actually believe that science is anti-God, but they use plane, they drive cars, everything they use in their house is full of science. Everything that they even trust God to afford is science-driven. Scientific innovation is what governs their life, but they say, no. Science is anti-God. Let me tell you, to conceal a matter is of God. To search it out belong to scientists. That is the book of Proverbs. So God is the father of science, is the father of life. He owns everything. So if you are close-minded, you may mess up your child without knowing. So you do not own the child. You are a steward, which is why you need to get the narratives right. That you are simply a vehicle, right? That transported the child from, heaven or wherever to planet Earth, and then you are the handler that humanity has placed the child in your hand to guard the best version of himself, which is why it is training up a child in the way he should go, not the way you want him to go. That there is a demand that is required for the way a child should go. There is a template that should help your child become the best version of himself. You do not know that template, so you need to humble yourself to observe, like I've taught in the previous episode, to observe and open your eyes to understand what path should he go, and subject your emotions, your sentiments, your bias to the path a child should go. Then you train him in the path he should go. Now, in releasing a child, before you release a child, there are 4 critical questions you need to answer, because handling is everything. Let me tell you, handling is everything. If you maltreat a child, mishandle a child, yes, he may become good, he may be a good person, he may buy cars, he may drive cars, he may marry, but he may still not fulfill his purpose. As a matter of fact, a lot of parents say to me, I want to raise a godly child. And I ask them to mention 5 attributes of a godly child. Hear what they say. If it's a godly child, he will be quiet, he will be lovely, he will be godly, he will be prayerful, he will be loving, and blah, 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 blah. So they talk to me about the values of God, about the character of God, but they do not talk about the competence of God. There are 2 dimensions to God or more. You have the character of God, you have the competence of God. You can have the character of God and not have his competence. You will be good, you will be holy, but you will be poor and useless to your generation. Which is why the Bible even talks about the foolishness of virginity. That virginity is useless if virginity cannot produce sound wisdom. Which is why you have 5 foolish virgins and you have wise virgins. Do you understand? So it's not enough for you to brag. I'm a virgin, what has your virginity produced? Because you can be very useless to your world despite the fact that you are a virgin, right? So you need to understand, when we talk about parenting, that as a parent, you must understand the demands of your parenting. So if you don't know how to effectively handle your child, you are going to damage that child and you will think you are parented accurately. So parents would tell me, my child is lovely, he must be godly, he must be prayerful, and those things are very good, right? But the problem is, when I now ask them, can you mention 5 attributes of God? Hear what they say. So they say God is omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, sovereign, loving, creator. Those are 6 attributes of God. So I asked them, who is a godly child? Can you define it? They tell me a godly child is a child who looks like God, which means he has the DNA of God. So how come the DNA that you have listed for God is different from the DNA you have listed for your child? A godly child is a child who looks like God. How come your own godly child is holy, righteous, is prayerful, is loving, is obedient, but is not omnipresent, is not omniscient, everything you listed for God? Then they look at me and they say to me, but a child cannot be like God. And I said, no, that is the close-mindedness that has destroyed a whole lot of children and has destroyed a whole lot of parents. Then I ask a question, can a child be omnipresent? They tell me, no, a child cannot be omnipresent. Then I ask, is there any human being on this planet who has created a product that is all over the world? Then they begin to look at me. Coca-Cola is omnipresent. Mark Zuckerberg is omnipresent. Facebook is present everywhere, right? What do you call it now? Microsoft is present all over the world, right? Then they begin to look at me, because if your product is used all over the world, you have actually passed the test of being omnipresent. Thy child can be omnipresent. So imagine you are being raised by a parent who do not believe that you can be omnipresent. They're going to load your brain with limiting beliefs. Even in your quest to become like God, they are going to tell you cannot become like God. You cannot become like God. Be human, be human, be human, right? And by so doing, with their limited worldview, they are going to destroy you. Now, they are not wicked. They've only done the best they could with what they know. So here are the 4 questions you must answer before you release your child to the world. Because the mistake we make in Africa, and I've mentioned this, when a child is born, we take the child to religious houses, whether Muslim, Christian, and we dedicate the child to the Lord. But we do not have a template to raising the child. So we dedicate a child to the Lord who may likely become an arm robber, who will still gossip, right? Because we assume, we love mysteries. We assume that by taking him to the altar, a child who is not even aware that he's been dedicated, he will automatically turn right. But where did we copy that concept from? We copied it from the Jews. The Jews dedicate a child to the Lord, but the Jews have a parenting template that is a 14-year intentional program that terminates at the age of 14 at the festival that is called Bat Mitzvah. That when you have trained a child, a Jewish child, is what a Jewish child needs to know between ages 0 to 7. There's what he needs to know before age 11. There's what he needs to know, right? He needs to memorize the Torah and the rest of them. That at the age of 14, that process is complete. Then you bring him to the community, you lay your hands on him, then you say to the community, this is my beloved son in whom I am well pleased, which means I have trained him to become the best version of himself. I now hand him over to the world to be service to God and humanity, which is why if you see the Jews across the globe, they are inventors, they are innovators, they may be religious, but their competence is never in doubt. But when you see us, we are incompetent. We are not open-minded. We are not willing to use science. We're not willing to use technology, but we are very, very religious, which is why when you look at Israel, Israel is a landlocked society, landlocked community, no natural resource. But if you see Israel, when people hear the land of milk and honey, it talks about their brain. So when you see how they've produced things, their irrigation farming, their technological advancement, their military prowess, right? And you compare that with the religion we practice in Africa that has not produced a better environment, then you begin to question that, is there not something fundamentally wrong? Of course, there is something fundamentally wrong, because we have copied the concept blindly, that we do not understand the nitty-gritty of the template, that the process of that concept. We are just excited about the dedication part, but the responsibility part, which is creating a script that can produce a child, we are not even bothered to study it, neither have we mastered it, yet we expect the same output. It doesn't work that way. Number one question: has your child aligned with the reason the seed owner sent him here, deploring his natural ability? Before you release a child, you need to pass that test. That is your child aligned with the reason he was sent here. That is, as he found purpose, as he found this competence, as he found the spark that will lead to his fulfillment. That is he rightly positioned in his area of strength? The place of your planting is the place you're going to blossom. A lot of you love machines, but you are getting married to accounting, right? You love innovation, but you get married to religion. You just realize that there's this disconnect simply because we are confused about what God actually expects from us. Why were you sent to this planet? You're not a mistake. There was a cry, humanity cry to the divine, that the divine sent you here as a response to the cry of humanity. Have you found that purpose? That's number one. Number two, has he or she been properly groomed without any compromise to his esteem and confidence level? A lot of us compromise the confidence and the grooming template of our children by our tantrums, by our shouting, by our screaming, by our anger, by our worldview, by our forcefulness. We compromise a child's esteem, right? So you need to answer the question, is your child's esteem intact? That can your child stand against all odds in any nation of the world without being negatively influenced? Is your child proud of his identity and his esteem intact, and is his confidence top notch? That's number two. Number three, has your child mastered his identity and can stand his ground anywhere he goes? Can your child has he mastered his identity and can stand his ground anywhere he goes? Let me tell you, when I grew up in a religious home, my dad was an Anglican priest, my mom very godly, and they did their best, right? They did their best. I mean, good job. But I was already sexually molested from home, that I'd lost my confidence, but nobody noticed. That when I got to university, the first place I went was to go and join the guys who were smoking. So everything I was taught collapsed day one on campus. Do you understand? But guess what? Now, my father beat me a lot. My father was a very good man. I mean, he did the best he could with what he knew. His beating did not stop smoking, right? He didn't even know. It was the words of my mom, because my mom I can't remember my mom beating me thereabout, right? I know that she will tell me to stood down, or, and she'll tell me there's one they call a cowboy. If you're not from Nigeria or you're about speaking, you may not understand it, but don't worry. It's the kind of punishment or discipline that you are subjected to by African mothers, But my mom's word rang deep in my ears, and that was what eventually made me change and stop smoking, right? She was not even there, but I answered the conversation I was hearing a voice say to me, and I dropped smoking, right? That when a child has not mastered his identity, if you send him to Canada, he's going to smoke. So when parents say to me, my child is in Canada, he's smoking marijuana, he's hooked on drug, please come and be me, and I say, hey, madam, Canada did not change your child. Canada revealed your child, because the environment will reveal the quality. So Canada is a report card, or America is a report card of the level of work that you have done, right? So as your child mastered his identity, and can he stand his own anywhere he goes? And number four, did you create the right environment for the child's potential to find expression? And did you adequately troubleshoot and test? That you don't wait for the world to tempt your child. For every lecture you teach your child, for everything you expose him to, you need to tempt him by yourself. Temptation is the crucible in which character is built. So it's like an examination. So you want to examine your child by yourself to test the potency of the product. Imagine an airplane that is now being tested when passengers are already on board. To now say, oh, we want to test whether this airplane can land in London. Oh, yeah, guys, come and board. Will you board? You will not board. Why? Because you don't want to be used as a specimen for testing an airplane, because you may crash. Do you understand? The same way for every product, which is why every product comes with warranty to say it has been certified fit. And if there's any defect, return it to the manufacturer, will replace it. That's why they give 2-year, 1-year warranty for your phone and what have you, to say we have certified it fit to be used. The same way, have you tested your child, tempted your child based on everything you've taught to be sure that this product will stand the test of time? Which is why you need to understand the 4 quadrants of parenting. Now, the seed owner, the seed handler, the seed environment, and the seed. If you don't understand these 4 concepts, you are going to damage your child, which is why I invite you, if you go to my e-learning platform, school.iampraiseforward.com, school.iampraiseforward.com, you can find about 2 major courses on parenting there, out of the box parenting, and the 21-day program. But you can opt into scripting a whiskey for the month of July, which is a program that's a combo of combination of several parenting templates that you need, about 6 different programs combined into one, which ordinarily goes for $181. But for the purpose of this month, it goes for $80. If you go to iampriceforward.com/whizkid, it's scrolling on your screen. If you're joining me on Facebook or you're joining on YouTube, let me tell you, no matter how much you spend on the child's education, one ignorance on your part can damage a child. As a matter of fact, if you have not discovered your child, sending a child to school is counterproductive, because a school can groom your child to become normal as against becoming extraordinary. It's a child's potential that should determine the kind of school you send the child to. If you have not picked the signal of your child, you can damage your child by just sending him into another school, and where they're going to damage him, being taught by teachers with low self-esteem who don't even understand the potential of a child. Which is why you see there is no amount that you spend on educating yourself on effective parenting that is a waste. Which is why we've taken a lot of time to develop concepts and to research for you, so that you can go on a roller coaster by understanding this concept. Now, this is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased, is what the Jews do once a child is 14. Question is, can you bring your child to the community right now at 18 and say, this is my beloved son in whom I am well pleased? Do you know what to expect? Or you are in for a shocker or a surprise? Can you vouch for your child to say, this one, I have groomed him so well that he cannot act otherwise? Raise a child as a positive terrorist that when it's time to blow up himself, he will not change his mind. When ISIS, Boko Haram, when they groom a child and they release him to the society, they know that he doesn't have any other capacity than to become a suicide bomber, right? So let's assume that your child is a positive suicide bomber. Can your child be trusted enough to detonate the bomb for his generation and blow up himself in service to God and humanity? That's been used carefully and figuratively. Now, if you check the grooming of Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, there's a template that was used to raise them. But I found another template is Steve Jobs and Jeff Bezos, which was slightly different, but not totally different from the other ones, right? In the sense that these ones were adopted by another father who was not their biological father, and look at how they turned out. But at the root of their adoption was education and exposure. Now, listen to me. The battle ahead is a cultural battle. And cultures without an intentional systems and structures will be swallowed up by those who have. It's not enough to say, I'm Igbo, I'm Yoruba. Your culture is going to be swallowed up within the next one generation, because your language is already going into extinction. Your children cannot speak your language. They don't understand your heritage. They don't understand your culture because it's not documented. So they are all either going to be confused or they're going to take on another culture, which is why family systems becomes very key in you creating a new culture from your family that your children are going to be proud of. Now, before you release your child, here are the critical 6 areas that you need to release a child on, right? Number 1, you need to release a child's identity, right? Release a child's identity. Lose them and let them go. You need to free a child to become himself. Don't let your child become you. My son has told me before, he said, Dad, I don't want to become you. I want to become me. And I told him, yes, son, you got to become you. I don't even want you to become me, because the cost of becoming me is not easy. And the path that produced me is not a path I want you to go through, right? So identity is key. Free your child to become himself. When you observe what you don't like, what you don't understand about your child, approach it from the standpoint of curiosity. Don't take a position and say, you put your leg on the wall, you have gone, you become a witch. No. Where did you get that from? Yoruba movies, right? Don't rate a child based on the limited exposure or the crooked exposure that you were exposed to in your upbringing, right? Based on what you don't understand, or based on what some guy who has not studied a child has said to you. A child is playing with water, you say it's mommy water, and you begin to take him for deliverance to deliver him from his purpose. Meanwhile, it could be a swimmer, it could be an oceanographer, right? A child is asking questions about and say, why are we on this planet? Why do we? And you are saying, you want to be a Mary. You want to be a witch or wizard? Please, can you cut the slack? Understand that you are the one that is not exposed. Free a child to become himself. That's one area of freedom you need to set a child free to become. Number two is passion. Free your child to pursue his passion. His passion may not pass the test of your right and wrong, but once his passion can positively affect his generation, free a child to pursue his passion. A lot of parents have scientists in their hand, but because they are already biased about science, right, they will damage their children and divert that child from science into what they call organized religion. Would die a natural death at the realm of his potential, right? Free a child to pursue his passion. If football or sport is his passion, free him to pursue it. If music is his passion, free him to pursue it. If it's science and technology, free a child to pursue it. So you drop your iPhone, then your child unscrews it. But of course, he doesn't know that it costs you like $500,000 to buy that iPhone, and you're going to kill him for unscrewing your phone. You're going to call him disruptive. He doesn't know the price. He doesn't understand the brand. That is simply an innovator, an explorer, trying to understand the science behind the phone, right? So you're going to kill him because of how much it costs you to purchase that phone. So free a child to pursue his passion. Number three, conviction. Conviction. Free a child to live by his conviction. Martin Luther King Jr. said, there are two things you will do by yourself: you're believing and you're dying. I cannot believe for you. You cannot believe for me. Your conviction cannot power your child. Your child must develop his conviction about life, his conviction about things. You can guide him to understand God or introduce him to God, because you don't even understand God fully, right? What you understand about God was the part that has been revealed to you based on your experience and based on your teachers. Your child will pursue another dimension of God that you may not have found out. So free your child to live by his conviction, which is why you need to model the right values to your child. Number four, failure. Free your child to make his mistakes and to recover from his mistake. John C. Maxwell wrote a book titled Failing Forward, right? A lot of parents don't want their children to fail. But you see, every child will fail. But what they do with the failure is what matters, right? So when you pray, thou shalt not be, you will not fail this year, people will shout amen. Except a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it does not abide. A child will fall. 7 times the righteous man will fall, 7 times he will rise up again, right? So failure. Free your child to make his mistakes and recover. He has unscrewed your phone, right? You need to educate him, not to kill him because of the cost of that phone. By beating your child and teaching to him that that phone, a thing, is more important than your child, a being. Things are more important than beings. So we read the story of a father who his son was went to pick a nail, and was drawing something on his brand new car. And he got there and he beat the boy, almost killed the boy, right? The following day, he went there and to try to paint it, and he realized that what the child has written is, I love my daddy. And he just felt sober and he began to cry. That a lot of children will make mistakes, but the part of the mistake is part of their learning, right? You need to help them embrace it, own it, create a narrative around it, and flip it. And number 5, you need to release your children in the area of their marriage. Free your child to get married to the one he loves and to run his family. A lot of us did not marry the people we truly love because the person you truly love was disqualified by maybe religion, was disqualified by culture. The person who was your soulmate that you gelled with, there was something that disqualified him. Either your parents say it doesn't belong to your culture, tribe, tradition, and you cannot marry him, or it doesn't belong to your religion, or it doesn't belong. There was something that disqualified the person, right? So consistently, people are unhappy getting married to the next option when the real option that they truly love has been disqualified by the limitedness of the silos created by man, right? So you need to free your children to get married to the person they love. A lot of parents are choosing spouses for their children because you want to continue an empire. You are damaging your child, because if your child is an you cannot become the recipient of his own happiness. A lot of people are committing suicide because they are unhappy, because their choice, they were stripped from the power of their choices, right? Free your child to run his family. Don't go and pack your things as a mother and start living there permanently and say, oh, this is our house. It's not your house. A family is a nation. You need to respect the territory of your son and his wife, and don't go there and cause trouble. Whatever they give you is what you must take. Don't go and carry your own pot and set up your own kitchen and say, my son is my husband. No, you cannot attach your esteem to your child. Your child is not your husband. Your child is your child. And at the age of 18 months, your assignment terminates, right? Which means if you do nothing after 18 years, then you have done a lot of good work, right? And you free a child to become himself. Don't go to a child's family, because a lot of children are not totally free from the aprons of their mother, especially if he marries someone the mother does not approve of. The mother fails to acknowledge the wife, accept the wife, and sabotages the son till he divorces the wife to go and marry the choice of his mother. It is not in your place for your son to marry your choice. It is in your place to groom your child and leave him to take his choices. That you are still controlling your child's choice is proof that you have done a shoddy job. Your son has not grown into adulthood. A child is born, a son is given. What you are proving is that your son is still a child, right? So you do not influence or govern the choice of your spouse, of their spouses. So consistently, I see some cultures that say you cannot marry from that tribe, as if everyone in your tribe is a wise person. If everyone in your tribe were wise, how many innovators have we produced from your tribe? How many inventors have we produced from your tribe? Your village is still unmotorable, yet you are insisting that your child must marry from that village that is unmotorable, that village that has no street light, that village that is full of darkness. You are still insisting you must marry from a village. What is the reputation of your village, right, compared to global best practice? So you read out who your child must not marry. You must not marry this one. You must not marry this one. You must not marry this religion. You must not marry this culture. Until you limit his exposure level, limit his option to the people from your village. Now he's married, he's unhappy, and you are unhappy, and you don't know what to do simply because you have influenced negatively his choice. Allow people make their choices and let them be responsible, right? So free your child to get married to the person he loves and let your child run his or her family. And number 6, contribution. Free your child to contribute his or her quota to the society. Set your child free to contribute his or her quota to the society. So free your child in the area of identity, in the area of passion, in the area of conviction, in the areas of failures, in the areas of marriage, and in the areas of contribution. Whatever your child gives to you is honor, right? It must not be what you're going to live on, right? If he places you on a salary in your old age, that's fine. But you see, you need to plan your life in a way that you can leave an inheritance for your children's children. Here, my final word. 1, as a parent, you need to spot the gene in your child, which includes its potential and packaging. There's a script, there's a way to understand the signal your child is sending to you. Is available in the whizkid combo. 2, take every decision based on the gene in your child without emotion. You cannot be emotional about what is logical, right? It's not about what you prefer. It's about what your child needs, right? Number 3, keep your child's mind open, but ensure its operating system is love-driven. Your child must understand love, right? Once he understands love, it can affect humanity, because God does not commit his resources into the mind of someone who is close-minded, which is why if you check everyone innovating, everyone creating new products, new invention, they are the people that God can trust to serve humanity with their invention and innovation. For some of you, if you were the one that owned Facebook, you will exclude other religion, other tribe from having access to it. It's only for you and your family, right? So you need to keep your child's mind open through love. Number 4, model the life you want your child to live, to him or her. Your children will live by what they see you do, not what you say, especially in their toddler years. So excellence, exposure, education, you model love and God to your children. Then create a family engineering system that delivers the family you desire and churns out the ambassadors you desire. Now, I couldn't get into that at all. Now, because the process of creating a family engineering system, it's a whole lot. It's about 52 hours of work. If you go on my website, on my learning platform, school.iampraiseforward.com, you would see the entire course there, Family Systems Engineering Certification Program. It breaks you down, it puts you up again, helps you set up your family, helps you understand everything you need to put up a successful family system that is system driven and that you can monitor. Then empower your child against predator with education. We talked about that 2 days ago. Then deliver a legacy that makes your child an improvement on whatever you must have achieved without compromising the values of humanity. Friends, a complete child or a whizkid is one whose potential is preserved and groomed into expression and who can stand his own in any nation of the world by consistently living up to his highest standards and ideals. A complete child or a whizkid is one whose potential is preserved and groomed into expression and who can stand his own in any nation of the world by consistently living up to his highest standards and ideals. If you look at the area of freedom I talked about, every global icon was freed by their parent. Talk of Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, everyone you can talk about, their parents freed their identity, they freed their passion, they freed their conviction, they freed them in the areas of failures, they freed them in the area of marriage and family life, and they freed them in their area of contribution. Their parents were not a bother to them. They enabled them become the best version of themselves, and that's why they're able to serve humanity. The question I'm going to leave you with today is, if we hand your child over to ISIS, who will your child become? Simple. If we hand over your child to ISIS in 18 years, your child will be the grandmaster of terrorists and suicide bombers. But the other question is, if Jeff Bezos was handed over to you as a child, would Amazon have emerged? If Bill Gates was handed over to you, will Microsoft have emerged? If Mark Zuckerberg was handed over to you, will Facebook have emerged? If you answer this honestly, you will know exactly where you are. And if your answer is a no, then something is fundamentally wrong and you need to embrace intentional parenting template, which is why you need to go get the whizkid combo so that you can start your journey. Trust me, my passion is that we free a lot of African children to become the best version of themselves. I think we owe our generation that. Our parents couldn't do that for us. I think we need to do that for our children, which is why we need to relearn and open our mind up to what does not work. There is a lot of things we believe which has not served us, never served our parents, but we still believe them. And now we are passing them to our children. It's not going to serve them. Whatever has not produced the result that you were promised must be trashed. It's either something is fundamentally wrong, which is why our knowledge of God, I think, is faulty. There is a dimension to God that we need to embrace, which is the competence of God. And I love this anonymous quote, which says, being a good parent requires knowing when to push and when to back off, when to help and when to let them make mistakes, and then being strong enough to watch them go. Parenting is an 18-year curriculum. What happens from age 19 is your report card. You need to be able to raise your child intentionally in 18 years and watch them go. You need to release them as birds to the air and watch them fly and soar. If they come back to you, to God be the glory. If they don't come back, let them serve their generation. Let your joy be that you raised an icon that is a blessing to his generation and that is serving the world with his gift in service to God and humanity. You have all it takes to raise a global icon. Don't fail your generation and don't fail God. The seed owner has given the seed into your hand as a seed handler to create the right environment for the seed to thrive. Do not fail us. So for 15 days, I have handled this for you. You cannot afford to fail this time around. So go to school.iampraiseforward.com, find the courses you can take in there, or subscribe to the whizkid combo, which transforms your parenting life, activities you need to do every day in the next 21 days. right? It also comes with sexual education for 1 year for your children and your teenagers, right? It comes with how to handle an erring child. It comes with how to handle parenting post COVID. He has a whole lot. He has 3 books in there. The combo is $80 as against $181. I think you should gift yourself that and go through it and transform your life. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. I super celebrate you. Tomorrow, I'll start a series on co-parenting for those of you who are single parents or those of you who are divorced. Or if you want me to treat something else in family life, outside of family life, drop in the comment box and let me know what you will have me treat. And trust me, I will treat whatever you want me to treat or whatever you need to understand. This is the 97th day of PF Things. We're 3 days away from day 100. Thank you so much for joining me today. I celebrate you. Bye bye.
Money budget for subsidy 245 billion. Edelajo Yisile and now 1.3 trillion. Broke Lori broke restitution. But nevertheless, this life is blessed. All we got to do is put the next man first. See how you feel, I'm a kaka be flavor. Keep it to what you want, you can equal us. And the rest of us,
You're the rest of us.
And the rest of us support the rest of us. This is all I have to say for now. There's so much more, so I'll still